Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 12th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I guide virtually every movement by. Now, for this reason, I know these tools will work for you. Okay, because they do continue to work for me, and they have worked for literally thousands of others with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. With this in mind, today, this is Alien Day. Okay, Monday is, at least we're striving to start to begin that route anyway. If you've got questions on aliens, even if it's not the race that we're starting with, aliens, technologies, cultures, doesn't matter. Put the question in the chat room, okay? In all caps, if you're not actually in the chat room and you're just listening to this, take a look underneath this video. You'll find an email address to connect with me by. Drop your questions in there. I will do my best to answer. Now, that in the chat room, all caps, partial caps, or even just the wavy hand to get my attention. Now, with this in mind, here at Positive Perceptions, we have In With the Gold. Let us go live, and that way we can see the top as well. Okay, that's what I thought we had. I don't know why it wasn't doing that. All the way to the top. There we go. Now we have Shadow and Sun In With the Gold. Welcome aboard, Shadow. Hopefully your day has been going well. This is the link to Shadow's live stream. Absolutely drop by, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Now, coming in with the silver, we have Skip to Malou. Oh, I think I missed somebody. I think we did. This is what I get for my eyes not working right. So let's try that again, shall we? All the way to top. Storm and Shadow actually came in with the gold, it would seem. Joe, you're in with the silver. Holy mackerel, did we ever scramble that one? This is what I get for not being able to see the top. Joe, how you doing? Nice to see you in here again. And Skip to Malou, you are in with the silver. Shadow, I hate to tell you this, but you're in with honorable mention. Now, I am working on getting things organized. As you can see at the top of the chat, we now have the baseline policies. I tried putting both in, didn't work out all that well. Try that again next week. Or not next week, tomorrow. But in any event, okay, just roll down here. Joe, I see you finally got out to the new cemetery. Any experiences that really corroborate what you've been looking at? Okay, I'm sure hoping so. Now, Skip goes, my task in this life is to ask and to protect my home and write my book and to travel and see the world. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually looking at seeing more of the world. I'm just about 61 years old. I'm finally looking at it going, I should probably travel a little and see what's out there. Although that's going to be limited and controlled. Now, Joe's just going, I have a fascination with cemeteries. So do I. I find everybody keeps dying to get into the places. And then every now and again, you get somebody that wants to get back out. That's always entertaining. And who do we got here? I think I missed somebody, which would not be a surprise. Yep, there we are. Okay, we scroll down a bit here and we have LA Moon in the house. How you doing, LA? Things are definitely shaping up and picking up speed. By the way, LA, I did what you suggested. I did advertise for tomorrow's stream right after I got off the horn with you. And what do we got here? Scroll down and we have Nathan in the house with the Quantum Show. And where the heck are we? We have Nathan and the Quantum Show. There we are. So presumably you're at work again. Okay, which is a good thing. I mean, let's face it. Work is kind of necessary. But with that in mind, there's a link to Nathan's show, the Quantum Show. Comes on Saturday. Okay. First hour at 7 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Then the second hour comes on at 9 p.m. Pacific. Now, okay, Skip, I will have to, let me see here. We'll get to that in 10 seconds. Okay. And what do we got? I'm just looking at what you said. Well, that is unfortunate. I really wish you could have made it. I don't know what the problem is, obviously. But you get the fun of trying to figure that one out. That is a weird setup. Because there's I can figure there's nothing wrong, but that's something they've got to work out. But I do appreciate the heads up there, Skip. Now, where do we go? Because I want to be able to read this. Here we go. Yeah. Now. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting little journey there, Nathan. Yeah. I mean, I tried figuring out how to actually put a picture up in the chat room and didn't manage to do that. I poked around with it for probably close to an hour before I said, I'm out of time. But I showed it to you guys a while back, and now I don't actually have a printer or the pictures. But we are moving forward. Oh, well, that would explain why I couldn't figure it out. But on the other hand, I can do that. So I will deal with that afterwards. Just not tonight. But when we start looking at the Mauldocs, the way I decided to do this is this. I've got a lot of different pictures now that I'm starting to go through and put them into place. But what I decided was this: because the Yldrbac Chronicles are the backbone novel that I'm writing, and the Races of the Worlds does work essentially as an addendum to it. What I've decided to do is go through the Yldrbac Chronicles, and as I come across the different races that you get to run into, okay, I will end up adding them in here. Now, I should have gone back a little further because I did Alfred a couple of weeks ago. Today I'm looking at the Mauldocs, and we will get to those in about 30 seconds. But There's another race that was already listed in the Yldrbac Chronicles called the Zerziks. Okay, that we will get to in the next week. And then we start moving forward. Now you got to remember, with the Mauldocs are a very violent, very conquest-oriented race. There just aren't that many of them here. And we're a whole lot fewer once certain things happen. But they come from another solar, another galaxy altogether. Okay, fair piece away from here. But they got here way before mankind did. And they ended up digging in. That got complicated. Okay, but what you've got is a race that is very conquest-oriented, absolutely is heavily into slavery. Okay, and will do whatever they have to for them to be on top. One of the neat parts about it. Now, let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, I'm just skipping ahead here. Joe is saying he got pictures in the cemetery. I'm curious. I'm going to remain curious until you fill us in as to whether or not you got videos of something moving in there. That'd be kind of wild if you think about it. You scroll all the way down. But no, the Mauldocs, number one, they are roughly human-sized. But their bottom jaw, one of the biggest things you got to remember with them is first and foremost, and let's see if I can bring that up. I'll see what I can do about describing it properly. There we are. Now, close that. Number one, they only have 3 fingers. Okay, but the talons on their fingers are the problem. And due to the fact they are carnivorous, okay, they will quite readily gut somebody right there in combat. These guys are not above taking a moment out for food. Bear in mind, their food is usually what's left of the soldier that is still surviving. You know, wounded but surviving. But you gotta remember, their mouth opens up, the whole mandible splits. You know, and yes, I do actually have a picture of them. I do, and they're already in Race of the World second printing. I forgot to mention that. I started working on the final expansion on it. Okay, now I only got through the first couple of pages, but that's okay. There we go. Nathan's guy is asking, do the Mauldocs have classes or castes? And not all can be hunters. Oh, heavens, no. No, that's the neat little part. Okay. Where is it? It's easier for me to work out of this. This is why I wrote the whole thing down. Okay, and I'm actually expanding on this. So the one you have right now, Nathan, is a little short. It's a little short on info. But, well, got to be able to actually read. There we are. Now, the first thing you have to look at is the Mauldoc in the Mauldoc world. You're right. Not everybody can be a hunter. Okay. But theirs is a corporate superstructure. They literally have evolved or devolved. I'm not sure which. Okay. I will get to that question in just half a second there, Derek. Number one, they are literally corporate oriented, meaning they literally, instead of having a country per se, In gaming terms, you'd almost look at it as though you're almost dealing with a Shadowrun type setup without the societal collapse. Now, they are absolutely carnivores. Okay, so hunters really kind of rank up there on the issue of being high on the echelon. The physical hunters, the ones that do it naturally, are actually ranked higher than the technological ones. Okay, but anybody can. The neat part with the Mauldocs Empire is anybody can ascend to become upper echelon. All you have to do is open the door. All you have to do is decide you're building a company, you're building an empire. Now, they are run very much on corporate law. Now, understand, their corporate law and humans may well be a little different. Okay, but you can specialize in whatever you please. It's not a question of, oh, you were born to a tailor family, so you have to be a tailor. No, they literally have free choice. That'd be first foremost. It's also a swap off as to whether or not, okay, when you look at the whole situation. What are we here? Okay, when you look at the whole situation with them, number one, they decide what they're going to be. Now I'm going to jump tracks here. Derek, first of all, LA is absolutely correct. Patience and practice and patience, absolutely. Something that will help immensely. And this depends on only mildly depends. Depending on what type of, like I see what you've written, how can I elevate my racing skills? If you are talking about running, doesn't matter whether it's running, horseback riding, as in steeplechase, whatever, or vehicular. Run the scenario through your head. Okay, over and over and over. Like Ellie said, practice and patience, and dare I say, persistence. Okay, if you watch bobsled racers as they're training, they study the course they're traveling on, and they watch it on film over and over again, essentially running it through their head. So it depends on what type. Okay, take a look at the tracks. Watch the tracks and literally watch where the best points are. You watch the way the others are driving. Okay, you study it time and time again. There's no minimum, there's no maximum. The more you watch, you'll spot where the people are making the safest jumps, because there are times in stock car racing where you've got to take a gamble and you got to cut cross field in order to get around the person. That is done by seeing it way before it happens, and that is a question of study. Yeah, LA goes, and as Nathan says, meditation. And this is why I like so much about this, in the people in this room. So many people jump in and go, here's ways that you can work. Okay, this is ways to improve it. Okay, but the big trick, in the long run, see yourself crossing the finish line faster than everybody else. And it doesn't matter if they're only a bumper behind you. Okay, see yourself ahead of the game. You don't have to beat the race, okay, by 3 car lengths. You got to beat it by a bumper. That's it. Okay, and I think with today's technology, you can do it with less than that. But that's the real key to it. Now, the neat part is, I had to have this same conversation with a young Mauldocs class a little while ago. Okay, about the fact that if they desire to get ahead, first rule of thumb, plan your approach. You desire to be better than the best. watch what the best did and watch what they're doing that you're not content with. Because not everybody gets to the top by being nice. I will tell you, you stay at the top by being nice. Okay? And if you walk on people on your way up, the odds are you're going to have a problem. Now, when we take a look at the Mauldocs, you name the industry that we've got on Earth, they've got the same variety and then some. Okay? Like I know of one company that literally specializes in butchering their prey while they're moving. Okay, I mean it's kind of a weird setup in human terms. We usually stop the animal, but these guys are far more akin to, if you will, the dreaded warthog or the dreaded peccary. Okay, where they will do their best to gut their prey and flay it at the same time. Okay, they are, don't kid yourself. Man thinks it's good at war. These guys take war to a whole new level because they don't go after a society. They don't go after a company. They go after individuals. Again, you got to remember their mentality is real simple. Take out the weak, take out the elderly, take out the the infirm, take out the kids. Those are their first targets. There are no rules about, oh, you can't do that. LA, yes, quite literally. He is likely to do that quite literally. And to top it all off with, he gets a snack of henchies after the fact. Mauldocs are not what you would call nice warriors. From their standpoint, it's simple. Now, do understand, when they came to Earth, okay, they came to Earth way before mankind ever got here. Okay, and when they came, they brought slaves with them. They probably should have thought about the slaves they were bringing, because the slaves they were bringing were not happy about being slaves. Funny thing is, humans take slavery and go, oh, we're going to enslave this person or this community, and if they misbehave, we'll beat them. Well, Mauldocs are kind of the same way. They tell their slaves, do this. And if the slave does not do what it's supposed to do, they do kind of beat them. But drop the B off the front of that. Okay? And they'll do it right in front of the other slaves. Okay? The reason for that is not because fear sells, but it sure controls. There we go. Joe's going, we did see a deer in there staring at us from 40 yards. Look at the bright side, he didn't have a gun. Deer are one of these wonderfully fascinating animals. If you move slowly, you can usually get around without spooking them. One of the things we have to remember, the Mauldocs people, number one, they were never coming here to actually conquer Earth. They got here quite by accident. Well, they were passing through intentionally. They just weren't planning on the gravitational flux. Net result, they ended up putting down stakes, primarily because their ship crashed. And was like, they crashed, and let's face it, when we're talking, when you're talking something in the neighborhood of 4 billion years ago, maybe only 3, okay, they didn't have a lot of technology to replace things with. Okay, so over the years, they butchered everything, but a Mauldocs generation ship. Have you ever seen pictures of what looks like an ancient Roman cathedral flying around passing through where you see a picture of what looks like a Roman Colosseum? Okay, that is a Mauldocs generation ship. That is what ended up crashing. Okay. So they ended up arriving here and then had to do what they could to survive. Back on their home planet, everything is built with combat and defense in mind. Okay, I mean, you think about it. When you take a look at fire doors or emergency doors on Earth, okay, and they hit the panic button and it's bring the doors down. Okay, doors will drop into place, and all of a sudden they go click, and then you hear everything slide into place. A Mauldocs door. If a human door is open this far and it's got to close, it does this, right, and finally closes. Okay, Mauldocs, it does this. If it's open that far, it goes, and it's closed. If you're halfway through it, you're pretty much hooked. Okay. So we are talking about a race that is extremely violent. Okay. And they've got no qualms about wiping out whatever they have to. They will literally, now bear in mind, the hunters will go after whatever they choose. But there is another caste of them that are planters. And they literally go around replanting trees that the hunters have destroyed. Oh, that's always nice there, Skip. Skip's going, deer sleep in my backyard. That's the food thing about getting that should be a good thing. But getting up before the light. I see them and their bed and their beds. Morning walks with coffee and my dog. And my dog eats it. Yeah, that was one of those things we don't really require, but what the heck? What are we here? One of the things that you have to remember, and yeah, Nathan's going, haunted is haunted. See, one of the things that I found with the Mauldocs, first and foremost, they're really lanky. They've got decent reach, but you really hope that they're on your side because they're none too nice about it. Funny part about it is they don't see other people as lesser because the hunters know they can do their job because they don't worry about conservation. That's the replanter's job. Okay, they don't worry about the layout or how to deal with refuse and what have you. That's the sanitation people's job. They're very focused on their own job, almost unilaterally. Now that does create some barriers, some problems. Because the one thing you will find with the Mauldocs is they're not exactly adaptable. Steve, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Nathan's going, are the Mauldocs vulnerable to our using zero point naturally? Oh, the Mauldocs, and number one, the answer is yes. They are not immune to that at all. Okay. And can they exist on Earth? Well, I use the term visit a little loosely. But yeah, they already live here. They have to be living in what you would call inner Earth at this point. Okay. Except there are some that you may find in some of the southern reaches. Okay. Now I don't know what the terrain is like down in the southern end of Argentina, but I'm talking about going deep into the woods. But these guys are natural hunters. They are absolutely masters at hiding in the woods. Okay. Because they are hunters. That's how they work. If they spot a patrol out, if they spot a few people out, they will pick off the back end. You'll never even know they picked off the back end, the back end of the line, until they get to you. This is why we haven't managed to find them. When you start looking at the drones and what have you, It's because of the fact that they are very aware. Bear in mind, unlike Sasquatch, the Mauldocs know technology and they know how to camouflage themselves in natural surroundings. LA goes, it's as cold there as it would be in northern Canada or Alaska. Oh, there we go. See, that's what I get for not actually going down there, which is probably a good thing. I don't like the cold. But yeah, the Mauldocs are very good at disappearing. Okay. Now, quite frankly, it's because of their limited numbers that they are not progressing very far. That and the fact they have a tendency. Now, you've heard the idea of disciplining your children. Those of you that have parents know sometimes you have to discipline the children. Mauldocs have a bizarre take on it. They still only produce one child a year, maybe two. But here's the kicker to it. Okay, let's say, for instance, a child misbehaves. A child's 3-4 years old. They misbehave. Absolutely, they will. They will end up on the dinner table while they are still alive, in front of the other children, with a very simple message. You misbehave. I'm not disciplining you. I'm terminating you. Does make for a very disciplined society. This is one of those things you got to understand. You guys may see them as being very barbaric. Quite frankly, they call it pragmatic. Yeah, Ellie goes, bet they don't sass mama. Not more than once. I mean, the first time they'll probably end up with it. Usually, depending on the cast. Okay, if it's a hunter, the odds are they won't survive it. Okay, they'll survive the first one, but that'll leave a scar. If they sass a potter, the odds are they'll live longer. Okay, potters happen to be like your tradespeople tend to be a little bit more relaxed. Your hunters, your military people, they just shoot you outright. Okay, it's just that simple. Fortunately, they are not trying to mount a war on this planet. And the reason for that is simple. The consortium knows where they are. Well, I don't have a problem with you doing that, Ellie, but I would suggest not grabbing hold of him by the ear. First of all, you'll tear the thing off. No. But when you take a look at the Mauldocs, they have some very simple outlooks on life. Okay. Whoever is in charge. Now, it's a swap off. Okay. The reason I did not put in the books that they are matriarch or patriarch is it literally depends on the cast. Okay. Whoever is running the company. Yeah. Oh, it's not really fear of repercussions. It's an absolute knowing. See, right now, the Moldakians there are small numbers of them here. The main group of them, number one, is way the heck and gone away from here. They didn't even know the Moldakians were here until about 1,000 years ago. Okay. And that's because until about 1,000 years ago, maybe 1,500, I'd have to check back. Okay. The Moldakians, the consortium didn't know the Moldakians were here until after the Roman gods were evicted. Oh, Moldocs are very clear on that. I will get to that in about 10 seconds there, LA. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something I can't do for the rest of you. Let me see here. This is kind of one of those perks that LA has that unfortunately the rest of you don't. And I can't do anything about it. Now, let me see here. I have to go there. There we are. I'm going to, literally in this case, LA, I can actually send this to you. Where are we here? That should show up in your hands. And this is the picture that is going into, where are we here? I sent it to your phone, by the way, LA. Let me see. Well, that is unfortunate, Nathan. I don't get that one. Let's see here. Go there and let's see what we got. Kick that back to Nathan. See, I've got a couple of you guys here. Look, gotta pull that picture up. I would love to show you guys this on screen. I just don't know how to do it just yet. But Nathan, you've got it sitting in your bin. And like I sent it to you via text, and it didn't kick back on my end. Now, I gotta shrink that so I can see what I'm reading here. Oh, yeah. I mean, they kind of do until you look at their face or their hands for that matter. Okay. But that is LA and Nathan. That is the picture that is in the book. That is in Race of the Worlds. I'm wondering why. That's your department, Nathan. I really, from my standpoint, it becomes a bit of a complication. But that particular picture, that is what they look like. They are basically human in appearance. Okay, as far as the overall goes, but virtually no fat on them. You'll never find an overweight Mauldoc. And there's a real big reason for that. Number one, you find an overweight Mauldoc, they can't defend themselves. Where are we? But now the Mauldocs do. Oh, good. Now the Mauldocs do have very effective cloaking technology. This is why. Now, has anybody ever seen a Colosseum appearing vessel in the air? Christine, how you doing? Glad you can join us. Where are we here? No, Joe, in all fairness, I can't. And I don't know. Where are we here? I don't think I've got you. I'm wondering if I do. I'm doing this because, quite frankly, I don't mind if people have my number. Okay. I would love to be able to, and I'm going to have to figure out how to make that happen there, Joe. I wish I could. As soon as I figure out how to pull it off, I will. Okay. Oh, that's going to take way too much time for me to piece together. It's a little bit of a trick trying to get tech to work because I've got to try and get my head working around it, and that can be a challenge. Okay. I will tell you when I get Race of the Worlds out, it will be coming up that way. Now, before anybody jumps on that side of it, yes, I have got the rights to these pictures. I made sure of that one. And that's why I'm working on a few things with them. But now, who was I? I was talking to Nathan. Well, oh. So, just missing, I've jumped around a little bit. That is quite possible. Let me ask you this, Nathan, and don't ask me how this translates. Are you by any chance using an Android? Okay. Or are you using an iPhone? Because that may be the now, why it goes from me to you, I don't know. You're using an Android, I think. Yeah. And why Android won't send it to me, I don't know. Unless on your but what it might be is if your coverage, like in my case, I can text and email all over Canada and the continental US. It's all tied in. Okay. If you don't have that as an addendum on your contract, you won't be able to. I know of another person that has the same problem. Okay, they're not, because their service is not set up that way. You're gonna have to hold it. I'll be right back. That was my munchkin wanting to get into the house. So I went and let him in. Yeah, in all fairness, Nathan, it probably is. Now, the neat thing with the Mauldocs is they don't rely on technology to do their hunting. Some of them do, but like I said, you get higher and you get more fame, if you will, by being a hunter using your own hands, your own hands and teeth, than you ever do using a ranged weapon. Okay, basically they see Moldocians using a ranged weapon, whether it's hunting or combat, doesn't matter. If you're using a range, you're quite frankly frail. Okay, you can be the best marksman in the world, and you're still lesser than the lowest hand-to-hand fighter. Okay, this is one of the reasons why the Moldocians are as physically fit as they are. That might give you an idea of what you're looking at. Now, the other neat little part about it is they are, when we're talking about being physically very active. Now, I wonder if that shows that. No, not there. Oh, it did not show that. Oh, well, that's the way that is. Oh, well, the fact, Nathan, that you're asking if they ever hunted humans, the answer is yes. Although, in fairness, their primary hunting task was with elephant. Now, here's the funny thing. The Mauldocs that are here, because they're stranded, are nice. They're an interesting setup. Number one, they are still, now that there has been contact made, they cannot bring to bear a major corporation here. Okay, but because they are so small and so few and far between, okay, they are essentially, the ones that are living here are primarily wild. Okay, so stopping them from hunting is a little tricky, but bearing in mind their primary residents right now are on the, or now the Moldavian Empire has been informed. They were informed quite some time back, but when we're talking some time back, like I said, the Moldavian. Oh, Nathan, here's the thing: when the Moldavians arrived, okay, number one, they had no way of calling for help, because when their ship crashed, their long-range communication lines collapsed with it. Now, when the Moldavians got here, the consortium didn't even know here existed. Okay, now the Moldavians set up in the southern tip of what is now Argentina. Okay, when they got here. So, with that in mind, it wasn't until, and I think that would be about, and somebody out there, and one of you guys probably knows this better than I do, somewhere along the line, I think around 500 AD, was about when the Roman gods were evicted, along with the Greek gods and the Norse gods. Okay, until that point, the consortium didn't even know that Sol 4 existed. Okay, they hadn't even been in the area. So when the Moldavians arrived, bringing with them some of the Laborians, okay, and again, that's another neat little issue there. And if you think Moldavians are good at camouflage, they got nothing on the Laborians. No, I shouldn't say that. The Moldavians, and that's why I asked if any of you have seen a Colosseum style ship in the air, usually somewhat out of phase. Okay, it'll almost look like a ghost ship. Okay, are the Moldavians starting to arrive? Yes, but those Moldavians are now arriving are under strict guidance. They have to follow consortium laws. Now, the wildlings that are on Earth are a little bit of a problem, because the wildlings on Earth, much as they are as violent, if not more so, than the incoming ones that have come to sort of try and collect them, you got to understand that's very much like humans going and trying to collect wild gibbons. Okay, or worse, wild gorillas or mandrills that are nastier than heck. Okay, because the wildlings that are here, the Moldavians that got here and have evolved here, they've got a complete civilization, albeit in inner Earth. Okay, but they are two very different groups of people at this point. Okay, now, at this point, because they've been here so long, according to the consortium, these are, yes, they are Mauldacian heritage. They are a race of Mauldacians. But understand, the Drakes gave birth to the Srazazian, the Tormenon, and the Kamalian. Okay, Mauldacians gave birth to the wildlings. Quite frankly, the wildlings are, I think the best way to put it, I think the best way to put it with the wildlings is that they're afraid of off-worlders. And usually, if they can't run for cover, they will attack and go for blood. And rest assured, they're very good at that. Those claws that you see on their hands will punch through the weak points in your spacesuits, that sort of thing. Environmental suits haven't got a prayer. These are people that are, well, I wouldn't say joining them for dinner would be a good idea, but they are very much considered they're of Moldacian heritage, but they call them wildlings for a reason. Picture a Wolverine in a permanent state of annoyed. Matter of fact, try and picture a Wolverine that isn't in a permanent state of annoyed. But no, the Moldacians have a very simple outlook. Okay, and the wildlings that are here are more akin to wild animals than anything else. So reasoning with them may not be your most effective method. Okay, but if you've ever seen a Colosseum-style ship, that's a Moldacian ship. Oh, no, they are absolutely, and they are third-dimensional. Have you ever run into a wildling? You could run into a problem, because the odds are you won't make it home to tell anybody. But yeah, they are very much in this reality. And in all fairness, much as they're good at camouflage, or more to the point, they're good at hiding and staying still. They are not capable of phasing out of existence. They're not capable of becoming truly invisible any more than a Black Panther is. Okay, Black Panthers and leopards don't become invisible, they blend in. Okay, and the Moldacians are known to literally blend in quite nicely. The one thing you don't want to do. Now, if you think about it, give you an idea of the speed these guys are working. Okay, now, did you ever see the show Predator? Okay, Predator is based on the Moldacian, except the Predator, the upper jaw opens as well. Let's see. The local humans have in southern Argentina have local legends of boogeymen that really are Mauldoc. The best I can tell you, high probability. I don't know the legends down there. That's for the researchers to figure out. But I'd lay odds if you've got people and or animals down in southern Argentina that are going up missing, or showing up missing, they won't show up with specific parts missing. If they find a corpse, you're looking at something that's been 100% gutted. Okay, you may find flayed flesh, as in torn skin, because they literally will use their hands and teeth to do it. And as Nathan and LA can tell, okay, they are literally, and let's see, did I see somebody here? I wonder. Shadow, are you by any chance actually in the house? I know you were. But yeah, I suspect very strongly that they have, the legends of boogeymen, okay, or hidden hunters sort of thing. Where are we? Shadow. I do not have you in here. But, that ultimately is what you're looking at. Now, these guys, when they got here, they literally dug in. I mean, you got to remember, where they landed, okay, was a bit of a mess. Okay. And they literally had to say, they just did what they had to survive. And over the centuries, over the millennia, they have degraded. They don't think. This is why they're referred to as wildlings, because the Mauldocs that have come now are very intellectually advanced. Okay, now they still run their entire society on a corporate base. So you desire to move ahead, open your own business, do what you have to. There are all kinds of corporate law that you have to pay attention to. Okay, and it's not so much that it's corporate law as in Ferengi, like the Ferengi of Star Trek, the turnaround and go, here's laws, you got to follow all these rules. No, but what you got to remember is if you're attacking people to try and get ahead in Mauldocs society on their homeworld, you attack people on a rapid basis, if you will. They will, the rest of society will turn on you quite happily. In a manner of speaking, problem is now the Ferengi have the rules of acquisition. The Mauldocs have the Drow rules of acquisition. Okay, like the D&D Drow, which, by the way, are literally based on the Kami, the Dark Elves and the Dark Elfin that have been here for longer than man has. Okay, but the Mauldocs, their rules of acquisition are real simple. Do what you have to become noticed, but do not start a war because you're going to lose. A small company starting a war is going to get wiped out, but a big company is starting to pick on all the little people is also going to get wiped out because all the little people, number one, will stop dealing with them, and number two, will find a way to take them out. Yeah, Joe, you really would. Okay. Thus far, the neat part about it is thus far, humans on the whole don't know about them. Okay. And the Mauldocs have survived this long. Like I said, they found a way into the underground. Only if you count, Nathan's going, do the Mauldocs have any regular communication with others outside their society? If you count predator and prey as communication, certainly. But if you're talking about trading, not to speak of. Now I should be a little more clear. The Mauldocs wildlings don't deal with people, period. The Mauldocs are very conquest oriented, and you got to watch how you deal with them because they will find loopholes. But they do have trade agreements with people. They do team up with people if they have to. Okay, let me just double check one little detail. The one thing the one group that the Mauldocs won't fight head on is they won't fight the Laborians head on because the Laborians will rip them apart limb from limb. I am looking for one particular race here. Bacon are fun, but that's another issue altogether. I was looking for somebody. Who was it? Now I'm pulling in blank, so that's always handy. Basically, Nathan, yes. Yeah. LA goes, my first goal in life is not to run into these guys. Yeah. Because much as you're capable, much as you're capable of combat, understand something there, LA. Now, I know you've been trained in the way of combat. Not necessarily that you can do it anymore. But these guys, now here's the trick. With a Mauldoc, you take a swing at them. First of all, bear in mind, you take a look at their teeth. You don't want to put your hand near that mouth because they'll bite it off. But when they go to counter strike, they counter strike by removing limbs. Okay, I mean, picture, if you will, a flesh and blood version of Wolverine on a bad day. This is what you're tangling with if you pick a fight with a wildling. If you pick a fight with a Moldakian, you got to remember they are all for and absolutely practice active slave trade. Okay, they have no qualms about it. And as for the issue of, well, can't we have, couldn't they organize a revolt? Certainly they could. But let me ask you this, the slaves, that is. But let me ask you this. If slaves revolt, okay, most humans will try and recapture their slaves. Mauldocs will wipe them out wholesale and then go get more. They are hunters, so remote viewing, not much. Okay, there probably is the odd one that does. Okay, but it's their senses that are bigger, that are higher. In other words, sneaking up on them, you got to contend with a sense of smell that is something bizarre and a vibratory receptor. Okay, because they pick these things up in the very air itself. So trying to sneak up on them is just not going to work well. Yeah. And I goes, exactly. I have a decent chance with a human. Yeah, with these guys, I wouldn't call your chance decent. Fortunately, they are not, and because they know the rules of the consortium, and the consortium will have no problem going to their homeworld and going, assuming their homeworld is a planet, not a Caboran. They will blow the planet apart. If it's a Caboran, there's a whole other way of dealing with it. Usually, if a race has set their life up, their civilization up on a Caboran, the consortium won't flat out wipe out the Caboran, but they will absolutely entreat it to help with the expulsion. And of course, the Caboran don't want a problem anyway. So much as they are, the Caboran are kind of a weird setup. Okay, they are members of the consortium, but they kind of stand outside of it in certain ways. Because let's face it, they don't exactly go into halls to meet. But when you're looking at the Mauldoc census, we are talking about people that are born to hunt. Okay, if you like I was trying to say, and then got sidetracked. If you watch the movie Predator, okay, you'll see basically the right attitude as far as the Mauldoc goes. You'll see how that works without a real big problem. And it's not overstated. Their technology, the actual Moldakian Empire, they literally have that technology. But the funny part about it is that technology, much as some people use it, they are not as well revered as physical combatants. Okay, now do understand, the Mauldocs are only about the same size as a human. Okay, and I mean, that's just the reality behind it. They just happen to be much more physically fit and much more physically in combat adept, especially since they don't have those, kind of pesky little rules like don't attack people they're in the middle of a ceremony, or if there's a funeral going on, don't attack. The Mauldocs look at it and go, they're in the middle of a funeral. We can add to that, except they won't have bodies to go on. Besides that, we'll solve the problem. Now, these guys are not carrion eaters, so they don't take the mind. This is why they will eat while they are killing, because they want the live food. Okay, they won't eat roadkill, for instance. But this will give you an idea just exactly what you're looking at, and why I say these guys ever decide you run into a pack of these guys, and it's not going to be a healthy outcome on your part. On their part, they should be fine. Now, with this in mind, they are members of the consortium in good standing, because you got to remember, they run on a corporate level. The consortium has rules. Therefore, to gain access to all the consortium has to offer, the Mauldocs go, okay, so we're not allowed to do that sort of thing. We're not going to do it. Now let's take a look at that contract and see if we can find a way around it. Okay, and they will absolutely twist the contract all out of shape to get the upper hand. But they get the upper hand in a contract, the consortium will allow it to stand, providing they haven't broken consortium law. And again, we're talking about two different castes. Okay, you're dealing with both the Mauldacians and the wildlings. The problem is, Mauldacians are predictable. They will absolutely do things with a set pattern. Wildlings will turn on whoever they will. They won't actually, unlike the Kinlar, they will not attack their own people to get the glory of the hunt. Okay, one of their issues is very simple. If you're the person doing the stalking, then it's like, okay, that's my target. The other Mauldacians will back off. They may follow to watch what's going on, to gauge how good you've got and you've become, but they won't interfere. Conversely, if you end up in trouble, you're probably hooped, unless, and I'm talking about the Mauldacian. If a Mauldacian is trying to hunt down a critter, like for instance, let's take a Mauldacian trying to hunt down and kill a grizzly bear. Now, number one, they'll never run into a grizzly bear, although some bears are not unheard of. I mean, if you think about it, a Mauldacian would have an interesting situation if a Black Panther dropped on him. Okay, but they are very much a case of I'll deal with my own problem, and you're absolutely, unless a Mauldacian asks you to step in. Some of them absolutely do. Joe's going, so do the Mauldocs use green lasers just like the movie Predator? Yes, some of the high-tech hunters do. Okay, and again, but like I said, they are not in Mauldacian society. They are not considered really high ranking in the way of, yeah, you're a fabulous hunter. Okay, it's like, okay, you're a better hunter than a potter is. Absolutely, we'll give you that. But you're what is called a sport hunter. Okay. Now you know yourself, human hunters are looked at in one fashion. Human sport hunters are looked at in a whole different light. The difference is the Mauldocs will not arrest somebody for being a sport hunter. Okay. A kill is still a kill. How you go about it doesn't matter. Although they are very quick to point out that if you can do it cleanly, if you're going to be a sport hunter, kill quick. Okay. Kill quick and make it a clean kill. If you're a hunter, how you do it is up to you. Because quite often the battle between a Mauldoc and, for instance, a big cat. Okay. That fight is an honor thing. I'm going to show my strength by fighting it and beating it to death, if you will. Okay. But it's a very different way of gauging. And again, if we go into the other types of society, of business, of corporation, there are Mauldoc cooks. And yes, they do have their sweet tooth. They do have their alcohol and what have you. And again, the better you are, you can rise. You can be a person, like a person of standing in a restaurant, as a restaurateur. And you can be as big a person, celebrity-wise, as a restaurateur as you can be as a hand-to-hand fighter. Okay, as a hand-to-hand hunter. They're very big on the issue of become the best that's possible. Oh, that's no problem, LA. They've got me tenderizers. Here's where you get off real easy. Okay, because they are natural hunters. Somebody just sitting there, unless they absolutely have to. Unlike the hunters on Earth, these guys, yes, in war, they'll take out the weak, they'll take out the kids, won't matter. If they're going hunting, okay, somebody sitting in a wheelchair, or somebody that has only one leg, is not a challenge. So you don't kill them unless you're really hungry, at which point whatever works. But if you're going out hunting, you don't take the people that can't defend themselves because it's no fun. This is why when in the show Predator, they showed that they didn't go after people that were unarmed. There's no challenge. Oh, that's why. They look at the fight itself as being the important thing. Okay, that's where the real big kicker comes in. And yes, this information we're talking about is being added to Races of the World. Okay, I'm still working on a few ideas on how to get things happening. But I absolutely have started on final expansion. Now, to give you an idea on that, where is that particular thing? Right there. By the way, the original Races of the World was how many? This will give you an idea of what you're looking at. The original Races of the World had 64 pages. Okay. Now, the second printing has 84. Okay, 84 and growing. I gotta look back. What are we here? Yeah, LA's going, no fight, no glory. Pretty much. Now, the funny thing is, the Mauldoc, they don't exactly go after the glory of it. The Kindler, that's another issue. But I believe the if I remember the Predator 2, that is still a Moldocian off the homeworld. That's because they still come in and use the higher weapons. Okay, but you're looking at an urban hunter, and there are obviously there's a whole bunch of different things. You can get a hunter that is specialized in Arctic warfare or in urban warfare. And again, they still have the same issue. If you're not armed, you're not worth fighting. Okay. If somebody pulls a a pocket knife, for instance, on one of these guys, if they're in the right mood, they may look at you really cockeyed, backhand you into unconsciousness, and keep their claws away from hitting you. Now, bear in mind, they cannot withdraw their claws, but if they catch you with the back of their hand, the claw won't get to you. But yeah, Predator 2, Joe, is an urban hunter. Okay. And that's what they came for. What you were looking at there, the ship that came in, was basically a safari hunt. And again, you are still looking at people that are very versed in combat. But they fight. Those guys are there to fight on the grounds that humans have. Okay. They're still going to do it to strike to kill. Okay. And no, humans don't have as much luck as they'd like. But you got to remember, on top of being natural born hunters and intelligent enough to run effective corporations. Okay. And I mean effective as in they will literally, they go, this is what I'm doing. And if you go to work for them, they will treat you absolutely equal. If you cross them and argue with what they want you to do, they won't throw you off the balcony. They'll break your neck and eat you. Yes, it's a violent world they live in. Okay, but on the other hand, if you do what they tell you, they will promote you quite readily based on merit. Now, the other thing you got to remember is it is very unlikely you will, although they do have the right to change. Okay, somebody born to a Taylor fan, to a Taylor cast can choose to go into medical. Now, I don't recognize the name there. Storm. I read what you said. All the predators are tribes of the Yota. Now, I don't recognize the name, but then I don't always know the races I'm dealing with. I don't necessarily know them by what other people know. But, I mean, you can call them tribes, you can call them corporations, put whatever label you want for the group. Okay. When you're looking at the wildlings, you're definitely looking at tribes. And have they been known to fight each other in times of food shortages? Certainly. But on the whole, they tend to keep to their own tribe and to their own area. Oh, perfect. Well, that answers that. Yeah, and with that in mind, I got no problem with the name. Okay. So yeah, whether we call them tribes or whether you call them corporations, my suspicion is that I don't remember who it was. Curiosity, I know you got this answer. Was Spielberg the guy that put Predator together? Okay, it's just a curiosity thing. Okay, because whoever put Predator together based it on the Mauldoc, made a few minor adjustments, not the least of which is the upper jaw. But are they all members of, like I said, the wildlings we absolutely would refer to as a tribe. Tribe or clan, take your pick. Clan's probably better. But when you're born to one clan, you're not stuck with that designation. Unlike human casting, where if you were born into the blacksmith field, that's what they expected you to do. With the Mauldocs, you start with that, but if you find something that catches your interest that leads you away from it, that's not a problem. Where are we here? Oh, there we are. Wow. Time is traveling rather nicely, isn't it? But when you take a look at the Mauldoc, the ones that are, the wildlings that are living here are not the same as the ones that have come in. Okay. But the ones that have come in live by consortium law. Okay. Yes, they do. They will absolutely, on occasion, try and go hunting. And they're not supposed to. This is very much the case. But it is a well-known fact if you're going high that if you're going to, as an individual, break consortium law, the rest of your society there we are. Storm goes, created by brothers Jim and John Thomas. The predators are depicted as large, sapient, and sentient humanoid creatures. Oh, Storm. If you take a look, I'll send it to you anyway. Give me half a second here. Of course I don't have it here. Oh, it's just looking for the wrong name. Here I am trying to find your name under your handle here, and that doesn't work well. Oh, thanks, LA. I won't turn that around. Now, with this in mind, okay, these guys are now. Oh, that's why I was looking for it. I'll have to deal with that a little later. Because something just dawned on me. That's actually not a bad idea. It just dawned on me. I've got to look into a couple of odd things here. But it's kind of a neat little setup. Okay, and I don't know which one is actually best suited. But it just dawned on me that if I take these pictures, if one of you has a 3D printer, okay, then I would love to talk to you with one of you guys about it. I would love to talk to you because I got an idea in mind that may make both of us a reasonable turnaround. Oddly enough, there's actually a company in town that might be able to help as well. But like I said, if one of you guys has a 3D printer, oh, there we go. That makes it Nathan. Nathan has the printer and what's that? Talent? Yeah, Nathan has the printer and the talent. Oh, I already sent him one. Looks like Nathan, you and I have something more to talk about other than just a couple of topics. We got a whole pile on the way. Oh, there we go. you do realize if the tech isn't talking to each other, you're going to have a problem. Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, well, that's definitely one of the things we're going to end up dealing with. It's going to be a sidetrack, mind you. But I was so happy when my other half and I managed to break through a massive knot in Return to Paradise. Okay, now the neat thing about Return to Paradise is literally like I said, the Mauldocs are actually a race that starts off in the early stages of the first book of the series. Okay, but it's coming back into the Return to Paradise, which means not only do we have the stats for it, but you get to see what some of these guys are actually like. But it's, this is why I say everything is connected. Now, I'm looking at the Mauldoc today. Okay. Now, I've got to go back and I'll take a look at the Zerziks. I think probably the Zerziks should have been dealt with earlier. So, where are we here? Clear a couple things out of the way so I can actually write. Put that there. Pick that up there. This should be January. Don't need that. Okay, we are dealing with, today is the 12th. I'm just writing down the race here. Okay, like I said, I try and keep a hand and keep on top of things. This week we're dealing with the Mauldoc. Uh-oh. Oh, absolutely, Nathan. Weird thing. Apologize for doing your job. That always confuses me, but that's okay. Thank you so much for dropping in there, Nathan. Really appreciate it. The neat part about it is my mind is finally starting to kick into gear on how to make things grow exactly the way I'm aiming for. It's funny. I sit down and talk to the Mauldocs. Now, I don't know what the name is. I will tell you this. The Mauldocs know business. Now, granted, they're a volatile group. The Ferengi, and I don't know what their name is, but I'm not offhand. I know I've got them in book 2. But the race that the Ferengi is based on are another group that know the idea, albeit their morals are a little bit questionable. And the Orions are another group that are really good where it comes to business. But they're much more interested in pleasure seeking and entertainment. Okay, these are some of the different races that we're looking at. Okay, and I'm not going to be able to get to all of them by any functional stretch. But I have started taking LA's suggestion. Okay, or LA's guidance is more to the point. Let me just see. I want refresh. Because it boils down to figuring out how to get technology to work for me. Okay, instead of how to fight against it. Oh no, ain't that a bonus? I should have told Nathan, but that whole thing, I think it was Nathan, that explained how to pop that policy up on the top end. So I mean, a lot of things are starting to move. And I've got to contact a couple of people to make it happen properly, because I'm starting to look into the merchandising side of things. Yeah, somehow, I look at you guys, yes, I know what I'm doing. The two things I know is I'm not an expert in anything, But am I a specialist in off-world races? Certainly. Do I know how to write? Yeah, no question there. Although I will tell you, my other half makes my editing skills look like kindergarten dropout style. Okay, so I definitely rely on her for an awful pile of it. The neat part about it, from my standpoint, is I'm starting to make things happen the way I desire. Okay, the Mauldocs do the same thing. They go, I'm going to become my own, I'm going to become my own person. Okay, I'm going to become a major mogul. I'm just going to build that. But they do it in a very systematic fashion. Okay, and they do have codes, i.e., they follow karmic law, especially in this area. Okay. Yeah, Storm goes, that's what I do. I find stuff and I know things. Yep. The last thing I'm going to tell people is I know everything and I know all the answers. I know answers, certainly. Okay. And sometimes the answers I have, other people. Oh, I missed that. That's what I do. I fix things and I know things. And I fix things and stuff and I know things. Yep. Well, that's what I get. The problem there, LA, is on the YouTube channel, it's got a little heart that sits right at the bottom end of the screen. So I missed part of whatever's written there. Although in all fairness, I also know that Storm has a tendency of finding things. Oh, this has nothing to do with, I'll just put this out there. I think. Yeah, it becomes like, I can see it over on the other one if it was bigger, but I can't make it bigger without completely scrambling my screen. So I rely on what's up here because this screen I can read. The one nice thing about the Mauldoc is at least if a Mauldoc tells you he's going to rip your lungs out, he does it very quickly. He doesn't punish you. He doesn't beat you. Their idea is if you're going to kill quick. I'd say kill clean, but if you've seen their claws, clean is not the way they do it. Okay. And I will tell you, people worry about the Singinan. They got nothing over the Mauldocs. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could drop in. Or did you drop in earlier and I just didn't see you? But I do trust your day is going well. The neat part about Mauldocs, humans will hurt people, they will torture them. Mauldocs don't bother. They're either going to get along with you or work with you or do you in. Okay. If you're an adversary, they don't ask quarter, they don't give quarter. They just simply solve the problem. And, and that applies whether we're talking a kindergarten squabble or we're talking adult corporate. And there is no such thing as espionage, by the way. Not in the Mauldoc level. Now, there are races that are very heavy in espionage, not the least of which are humans. Mauldocs don't do that. They consider espionage a very low-class thing. And they won't have, and the fact is, they won't even hire somebody specializing in espionage. Okay, yes, there are spies out there. There are companies that do that. But they are on the bottom end of the scale. Okay, same issue with drug lords. Much as everybody has, every society has their drugs. The Mauldoc as a society, look at drugs at enhance promoting addiction as an absolutely childish and very lowbrow way of getting ahead. Okay, and the neat part about it is if you end up getting caught as a drug dealer in Moldocian society, everybody that finds out about it, except the addicts, are going to work to have your hide removed. If you're lucky, they'll kill you first. But the Mauldocs society does not believe in using mind senses altering drugs or senses altering technology because you cannot be a proper hunter, either corporate, legal, or physical, if your senses are dulled. Besides that, dull your senses, you're setting yourself up to be a target. Now, the big difference between a Mauldoc and a Kindlar is if a Mauldoc is fighting with you, he will absolutely fight with you, side by side, back to back, whatever is required to get the job done. A Kindlar, which are a little rodent, they're about 3 foot, essentially they look like a rat. Okay, if they're fighting with you and you're getting close to getting the kill, they will kill you or cripple you so they can get the glory from the kill. Okay, not the most trustworthy individuals. That's just the way the reality goes for them. But the Mauldocs are extremely honorable in their own business practice. They do not look down on people that don't do the same job because everybody in their eyes has a part to play. Besides that, if you're a hunter and you're looking for a vehicle to be able to get out to do your hunt, never mind if you're looking for a high-tech weapon. If you just want to get out there, you got to find a company that is, number one, going to take you where you ask, and or is going to bring you back, assuming you live through it. But you can bet a guide that takes you out on a hunting run isn't going to back you up if you run into a problem. Hopefully this is making sense, but it's this kind of information, or more to the point, this detail of information that is being added into the second printing. Okay, needless to say, there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, I should have said it a while ago and kind of overlooked it. So, if you like the stream, do us a favor, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Things are going to get exciting over the next couple of months. Okay, actually, in all fairness, the way I'm laying it out, the things around here are going to get exciting all the way down the road. I'll tell you, short term, I'm looking at right now 600 subscribers. Okay, somewhat longer term, I am looking at monetizing the stream, and I've already got Storm's already looking into how to get a store set up linked to this live stream. Okay, linked to Positive Perceptions. And while we're doing that, I'm going to link the newsletter together, Positive Perspectives, and everything else I'm working on. It's all interconnected. Ultimately, we are going to build a healing center. The publishing company is already getting off the ground. I've already got one book that is, I gotta call him. I've already got one book that is in print. Nope, that's not quite true. One book that I never wrote. Okay, but I've got to wait to talk to my two brothers but I want to talk to them face to face about whether or not I put it on the market, because it literally is the autobiography of my grandmother. Okay, now that said, okay, that is growing. And thank you for that, LA. The reality of it is that I only send the email, the newsletter out by direct request. I don't post it all over the place. Okay, I certainly don't print off a bunch of extra copies and hope that people are going to read them. I only send them by request. And I have been warned. Somebody mentioned that that Microsoft may be doing something. I don't call this a rumor. I call it something to be aware of. Okay, but apparently, if you don't have a solid website all set up properly and everything going through the website, apparently you may find that the newsletter or the magazine ends up in your spam. So be certain you double check and make certain. I found out that the hard way with my own stuff. Okay, so I regularly go into my spam to double check. But there's a lot of things that are changing. We are getting into, and again, we're not only are we getting into different merchandise and different books and what have you, and different projects, but we are getting into building the healing center. And part of that healing is tied right to what I call my Wombbox. Okay, the word of mouth advertising. That's my budget for actually helping give back. You know, this world is changing. Now it's up to us to decide, much like it's up to the Mauldocs. Now, the Mauldocs, when they got here, they came on a generation ship. They were literally not planning on landing here. Problem was they ran into the one thing that they didn't compensate for. And literally speaking, that was a massive solar flare. Quite honestly, it was sort of a combination of things. Okay, what I found out from them is it wasn't only a solar flare. Okay, but it was an imploding star, meaning the radiation was just flat out overwhelmed their systems. Okay, and the subquantum the subquantum electrical impulse shorted the whole system out. Net result, landing hard on the planet. But being the hunters they are, they salvaged what they could and then moved on with life. And this is just the way that they survived. They've been here for a very long time. But no, they do not outpopulate humans. See, the thing that stops the Mauldocs Empire from evolving quickly, like from propagating quickly, is because of this funny little tendency of eating their own children when the children don't behave. Kind of guarantees that the ones that do survive are really ingrained in the idea of do what you're told, when you're told, worry about the how afterwards. If you're told get off the chair, get your tail off the chair before you get eaten. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now, this is just the way they operate, but it does tend to keep their own population in check. Which sounds it sounds certainly brutal from human standpoints. From the human standpoint, but it does suffice to create a very disciplined party. Now, picture what happens if you take that kind of discipline and actually get an army more mobilized. If you find a common threat, the Mauldocs people are not the ones you want to go threatening, because not only will they unify in a hurry, they will do so with extreme malice of forethought and absolutely no compunction about killing whatever they have to. Okay, yes, I am making these. It's not that I'm making these people out to be really violent. Okay, they're actually really nice people if you're on the right side of the track. By the way, the one saving grace here: humans have a tendency of getting really agitated if they get insulted. Dwarven race is worse. The Mauldocs, call them any name you choose. as long as you respect their profession. They don't care whether you like them, and they're not about to complain. They certainly don't deal with bullies well. Actually, they deal with bullies great. Did you want it flayed? Did you want him flayed or stir fried? Or you just want to eat him as is. They are quite ready they are quite happy with natural foodstuffs. Natural being it's still breathing. But as you can see, this is a very intriguing little species. Are they here? Yes. Are they a threat to humans? Absolutely not. Unless you're wandering around in the bottom end of the Argentina forest, down on the bottom tip, but up in the mountains. If you're up in the mountains of Argentina, or you're off the beaten path, then yeah, they may be a problem. But you're going to have to go looking for them. And personally, I don't go hunting them down, especially not the wildlings. Wildlings aren't really that communicative. It's kind of like, hey, here's an idea. I had somebody years ago tell me that they wanted, to track, they wanted to literally corner a family of Valarian in their own cave. Okay. Now, bear in mind, your name for an Alarian is a werewolf. Okay, or a lycanthrope. Now, with that in mind, the last thing you want to deal with, quite frankly, is cornering one of these guys. A Mauldocs, he'll come out and talk to you. Okay. Alarians, on the whole, are not that interested in doing so, and if they're trying to hide, don't go in. Joe, investigative would be a little bit of an odd way of looking at it. Have I ever been in a haunted cemetery? Certainly. Okay. A friend of mine years ago asked, he told me he wanted to go to a cemetery. He wanted, more to the point, he told me he wanted to have one of these weird experiences I talk about. It just so happened he asked me on a Friday night with a full moon and a cloudless sky. So we went down to the graveyard. And this is why I was talking about the little light that you may see rising out of one grave, moving over and dropping into another. Okay. But because this is what we saw. We're sitting there watching, and he goes, he looks at me and he goes, I just, like, there was something that came out of that gravesite. I said, yep. And you notice it went all the way over. It went all the way over three beds over and dropped down. And he goes, yeah. He says, you saw it. I said, well, of course I saw it. Right. But I said, we're going to have to come back. Actually, I said, did you bring a flashlight? And he goes, yeah, why? I said, let's go take a look at something. As it turned out, what it was there were two grave sites, obviously. This one had the guy in it. This one, 3 doors over, had a girl. And if you took a look at the dates, okay, this couple and this pair was a couple that died at the same time. Okay, so what we were witnessing was the boyfriend going over to visit the girlfriend in her home. This is why I tell people, graveyards are not the quietest place on the planet. And politely put, you can do with this message, with this statement what you will. All moaning in a graveyard is not meant to scare you. Now you get to figure out what to do with that. But do I spend a lot of time going down to graveyards, Joe? No. In all fairness, I haven't been to a graveyard in probably 35, 40 years now. In all fairness, my parents didn't have one. They didn't get buried. They got cremated, and I have no idea where their ashes went. Of course, I've got just about that much interest too, but not quite. But I do feel that things are going to shift here in a very big fashion. And now is the time to start doing this. With society taking an interesting turn, it's time to start building what we're aiming for. A world that is better for virtually everybody. Now, yes, there will be those of you out there that don't desire the world to change because maybe you think you're sitting on top of the world. Maybe you think your money has put you into a better position. I'm telling you, it takes about that long for it to disappear. Okay, for those of you that are in the struggle mode, what most people call the working poor, this is one of the things that we can change. Okay, now tomorrow. Oh yeah, forgot what is today anyway. Okay, there we go. Now, oh yes, I'll have to look that up just to see what I did. Yes, tomorrow is definitely gaming, and we are going to be taking a look. Tomorrow, we're going to be taking a look at gaming and how it can literally be implemented to modify your outlook on your world and thereby take your imagination and work with it. It's time to start building on that creative side. Okay, and here's a neat little kicker for you. Guys, while I'm doing that, I'm working on other projects all at the same time. One of the biggest ones for me is figuring out how to determine what you guys are seeing as a necessary shift, because I'm quite open to modifying things. It's just a question of figuring out which one to do first. Okay, but tomorrow we're going to be looking at the imagination and really how much of an impact it has on the adult world. People talk about, oh, your kid gets to be 5 or 6 years old. That's a wonderful imagination you've got there, Junior. Now's the time to grow up and act like an adult. I'm going like a lot of the adults I run into, I swear they're brain dead. Okay, so I'm hoping the kids won't turn out that way. Unfortunately, the method of training right now kind of points in that direction. And what we're going to do tomorrow, and we're going to start linking these together in cascade. Okay, so today we were looking at the Mauldocs. Nasty little group of people, but really decent once you get to understand them. Okay. Oh, there we are. Tomorrow we're going to deal with gaming and the imagination. Then on Wednesday, we're going to start figuring out how to take your talents, your skills. We're going to start figuring out how to connect with people and how to start utilizing those, because it's the little wheels pulling together, if you know anything about engineering, okay, and gears and what have you. We take enough little wheels working together, we can move mountains, and that's what we're aiming for. Because they tell me it's lonely at the top. Well, the logical solution in my way of thinking, if it's lonely at the top, take everybody with you that you can, and then you'll have friends when you get up there. But you always follow karmic law. This is why I've laid things out in very specific order on my end. Okay, and that's one of the things we've got to do, is make certain that this all ties together. Not a problem there at all, Joe. Like I tell people, if you've got a question, even if it's not on the topic we're talking about, absolutely put the question out there. Okay, and I will do my best. Again, if you didn't ask a question, you still got one, take a look below the video. You'll find ways of getting a hold of me. Okay, and let me just take a peeky thingy here. This here is literally the email address. If you've got questions that you really desire an answer to, if you didn't ask them or if they come up as you're listening to this later, that is the email address. innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca is the best email to get a hold of me at. And I will, either that or drop them a message in the comment section, and I will do my best to get back to you. Okay. Again, if you're looking for the newsletter, it only goes out by direct request. There's a couple of you that asked for it that were only getting it hard copy. I don't have your emails. Okay. And therefore, I'm still going to need you to reach back out because I have no way of getting a hold of you to speak of, aside from snail mail. Which is probably what I'm going to end up doing here this week. Now, there we are. Now, again, if you've got questions, if you've got things you would like to see added to positive perspectives, let me know. Absolutely let me know. I've already added certain things in. Okay. As in a section on gaming, I've got a new section in. And I'm just trying to remember what it was. Let me just take a peek. Nope, I closed it. So I'm not going to try and hunt that down right now. But if you got ideas, quite literally anything that will help expand things, okay, or will help create, if you will, different merchandise, different things that may be enjoyable. I've got a lot of ideas up here, and I am starting to implement them. One at a time, albeit, but I am starting to implement them. The neat part about it, not a problem, LA. Glad you enjoyed it. Now, where are we? We are right there. Okay. So we are into the last couple of minutes here. So it is time, because you can tell my throat's starting to go. Or at least I can. I really want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. It really has been enjoyable. At least on my part. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you've got questions, or more to the point, when you have questions, drop me a line. Drop me an email, drop me a comment. Okay. I absolutely appreciate them and will do my best to respond to them. Bear in mind, my day is a little screwy at best. Okay. But this said, I will be back tomorrow. We tangle with gaming and the imagination and its impact on your life. How do we put that imagination of yours to work? That creative energy. How do we get it flowing properly? And how does that come about in the game via either taking gaming principles or literally turning around and figuring out how to use your actual imagination effectively to create physical manifestation? It can all be taught. And these are all topics I'm quite frankly very well versed in. I'm not the best of the best. I am not perfect by any stretch. And, like I said, whatever I tell you, clearly it's my opinion. But do your own research. Okay? Now, from that standpoint, I absolutely have to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I will be back again. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.